Digital Academy Informational Night. My name is Mr. Knoll. If I haven't had a chance to meet you virtually or in person, I'm your new superintendent here at Canfield and excited about the opportunity. Tonight, we are going to hear a presentation about our Digital Academy from Mr. Maroney, who is our director. We are going to keep all of the questions and answers specifically to our Cardinal Digital Academy, how it works, questions and concerns that our community might have. Questions on our restart plan that I introduced a week or so ago will be held, and we're going to have another informational night on Thursday, August the 6th. Very similar format. We will get a lot more in depth on the restart plan. But tonight, it's our Cardinal Digital Academy. It's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Maroney, Director, to the stage. So you have it, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Knoll. As you said, I'm Joe Maroney, the Director of the Cardinal Digital Academy. I want to thank Mr. Knoll, Mr. Tullio, and our board for this opportunity. I'm excited to be able to help Canfield schools in this way. I also want to thank our community for the interest in the Cardinal Academy. We've had over 330 people pre-register on the online forum to kind of let us know that there's a lot of interest out there about the Academy. And we had over 70 questions pre-submitted by the end of the day today, and I'm sure we'll have more tonight, but we had a lot of people asking questions. So we had the ability to go back into our presentation and address a lot of those questions in the presentation. If we don't address your question specifically, please submit a question, and at the end, we'll go back and try to answer everything that we can answer. There are some things that we may not have a complete answer for right now, but we're working very hard to make sure that this is a great opportunity for our Canfield students. So with that, let's take a look at our Cardinal Digital Academy. I'm going to share my screen. Oops. So what is the Cardinal Digital Academy? It's an alternative to in-person schools for students living in Canfield schools who attend one of our 4 buildings or are being educated elsewhere. Students who are homeschooled, you attend a parochial or charter school, or any of the other online schools. If you are a Canfield resident with children in our schools, you are eligible to attend the Cardinal Digital Academy. The online curriculum will be supported by Canfield teachers, where students will complete assignments during an online platform we bought into called Virtual Classroom. So that's the online system that we will be using. This is a separate entity from C.H. Campbell, Hilltop, CVMS, or Canfield High School. It's like another school. It's not, your students will not be attending one of our 4 buildings, even virtually. You will be attending the Canfield or the Cardinal Digital Academy. We had a lot of questions about what the difference was between digital, in-person, and emergency remote learning. So we want to kind of define those for you tonight. Our Cardinal Digital Academy is an online curriculum supported by Canfield teachers via Virtual Classroom, which is an online platform. And it's, again, a separate entity from C.H. Campbell, Hilltop, CVMS, and Canfield High School. It's its own building. In-person instruction is normal school. It's traditional classroom instruction where students physically attend classes at C.H. Campbell, Hilltop, CVMS, or Canfield High School. Remote learning is when we have a change in the pandemic risk factor where classroom, school, or district shifts from in-person instruction to instruction via Google Classroom. This is what we experienced when the governor shut the schools down in March of 2020. We may eventually have to shift to emergency remote learning, but this time we are coming back to school in one of 2 ways, either through the Cardinal Digital Academy or through traditional in-person instruction at one of our 4 buildings. So if you come to the Cardinal Digital Academy, what opportunities are we going to provide for our students? First, students will receive monitoring and assistance by our highly qualified Canfield teachers and staff. This is not going to be farmed out to third parties. It will be our staff running the Digital Academy. Students will receive instruction, individual attention, and tutoring on a regular basis. What we did in the spring was a stopgap measure. We got through, our teachers did a great job, but this is going to be more. This is going to be a lot more instruction, a lot more availability of our teachers. It's not going to look anything like what we did during our emergency remote learning starting in March. It is completely different. One of the benefits of being a part of the Cardinal Digital Academy is students are eligible to participate in all Canfield Schools extracurricular and co-curricular activities, including athletics, clubs, band, choir, theater, etc. Now, this will require some in-school attendance. You may have to come in for a band class or a choir class or a club after school. We will not be able to do those things virtually. So if you're going to consider doing one of those activities, please understand that you're going to be required to come into school and follow the protocols that we will have in place that Mr. Knoll will announce next week, but you'll have to go through those protocols to be eligible to come into the building. Also, if you're a high school student, you will be able to receive a Canfield High School diploma upon graduation. So the benefits are you are a Canfield student and you are eligible to participate in everything that we offer as a district. So if you're a homeschool or you're on another online platform or something along that line, you are part of Canfield Schools, part of this community that is Canfield Schools. So when we look at the curriculum, because we have a lot of questions, people asking, what does this look like? We want to maintain our guided reading and bridges in K6. We've been very successful with both guided reading and bridges, and we want to provide that within the Digital Academy. And I want to thank our reading coach, Carol Young, and our math coach, Sherry Muno. They've been developing lessons and working to make sure that we have the availability to put our bridges and guided reading into our Digital Academy. Virtual classroom content will be assigned, supervised, and monitored by our Canfield teachers and staff. And there is content K-12 throughout that curriculum. So we will be using that to teach classes across the grade levels. This curriculum is aligned to state standards. There are a lot of districts across the state that use this as a standalone platform, and it does meet all state standards. We will have access to courses in all core areas. That's English language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies. We will have limited access to specials in K6 and elective courses in 712. And that was a question. There were a lot of questions about how we were going to do art and music at the elementary schools and how students were going to take elective courses at the high school. We have some of that available. We are going to still continue to work at, are there other ways that we can provide some of those activities for our kids so they can experience those classes at both the elementary and middle school and high school levels. This does have some limitations when it comes to the number of AP and college prep courses that are available. And again, we will continue to work to improve that. But right now, again, please understand that not every course that we offer at Canfield High School will be available on the virtual classroom content. So we wanted to break this down and look at it by grade bands. And because there's going to be a little bit of difference between each of these grade bands. When we look at K2, we realize that our youngest students are going to need the most attention. So this will be really teacher facilitated. There will be some self-pacing activities where students will be working on their own, but we're going to try to have a teacher with them throughout the day, maybe not all day, every day, but they will be with them. And again, looking at the curriculum of guided reading and bridges math, and we'll be using Google Classroom to push that content material out because that is ours, developed by our staff, not using the virtual classroom. There will also be science, social studies, the specials that we mentioned before, and we will be able to provide intervention as needed for our kids. At the elementary level, we do provide LLI and some bridges intervention, and we're still going to attempt to provide a lot of that intervention to our kids. The K2 curriculum will be a mix of online and paper pencil materials. And again, we'll be figuring out a way to get paper pencil materials to our students. It'll either be a pickup location, drop-off location, or it may be sent to you electronically and it has to be printed. We are still looking at options to make sure that we can get students materials that they need, because we realize that our K2 students need something a little bit more hands-on, and they may not be able to do everything virtually. So our K2 will be a mixture of online and paper pencil, and probably some other manipulatives that are needed, and our staff will determine what that is, and we will begin to assemble that and get it out to folks when we know exactly what we need. When we look at grades 3 through 6, again, this will be more teacher guided and more student self-paced. Again, we're looking at a lot of the same curriculum that we were looking at for our K2, the guided reading and the Bridges math. Again, we'll be using Google Classroom. Science, social studies will be through the virtual classroom. Specials and intervention are things that we're still working on. We're going to work with our specialists at the elementary school to see if they can develop some lessons to help us out. But for the majority of this stuff, it will all be online materials. So K2, we're looking at a blend of online and paper pencil. Grades 3 through 6 will be all online, teacher guided, student self-paced. When we look at grades 7th and 8th, again, it's going to be that teacher guided and self-paced model. The curriculum will, most of it will come from the virtual classroom curriculum that we have that has a lot more electives when we start getting into the 7th, 8th grade, middle school and high school levels. So we'll be able to give kids a menu of electives that they will have available to them. And again, we will continue to provide intervention as needed. And again, as we get to our older students, all of this material will be online for them to access. When we look at 9 through 12, again, teacher guided and self-paced by the student. The curriculum, again, English language arts, mathematics, science, social studies. Again, a greater selection of electives, maybe not everything that we offer at Canfield High School, but there are electives. We'll again provide intervention as needed. And again, like I said, there are not always all the courses that are available to students, but we will do our best to match students with what they scheduled with the high school guidance counselors before or in the spring. And if those classes aren't available, then we will contact those students and give them alternatives for classes so they can have a full schedule, get the credits they need towards graduation. So that's a breakdown of K through 12 as far as the curriculum. We also want to make sure that we support our students. Again, we know that our parents in the spring wanted more support than what maybe they received, and we're dedicated to providing a lot more support for students who are using this digital academy. Our teachers will provide a weekly schedule to online students, telling them what the expectations for that week are, the assignments that are given, what those due dates are, and they will be giving them a weekly schedule. Teachers will provide assignments to students using the virtual classroom platform. If you're familiar with Progress Book, virtual classroom is part of the Progress Book suite. And when a student goes into their Progress Book account, their assignments for the week pop up on that screen, and they're able to see what they have to do that week. They'll get feedback from the teacher through that. They'll get their grading through that. So the virtual classroom platform will be a communication tool as well as the assignment tool, as well as Google Meet, as the next bullet says, and we will also be using Google Classroom. Teachers will provide virtual office hours during the school day to meet with students or small groups of students and be available for parents. We want to make sure that you get the support you need when you have questions. Our teachers will be there to answer those questions for you. Some things to consider in joining the Cardinal Digital Academy. First, and this is a question that we had multiple times over the last couple of days, is our course is going to be mainstream or live streamed from classrooms. They will not be. Courses will not be live streamed from classrooms at C.H. Campbell, Hilltop, CVMS, or Canfield High School. It's going to, the curriculum comes through the virtual classroom. The other important thing that we want people to know is the Academy will not replace the benefits of in-person instruction. It's going to provide very good instruction, but nothing will ever replace that one-on-one interaction with the teacher in the classroom. We know that, but we're going to do the best we can. Every attempt will be made to try to align our instruction from the Academy with our in-person instruction. The teachers who are teaching the Academy We'll be in communication with the teachers that teach that class in person, and we're going to try to align those two curriculums. May not always be possible, but we're going to work very hard to make sure that our Digital Academy students get the same types of information and curriculum that our kids in building get. The other question that we got a lot of is how long do we have to stay in the virtual academy once we sign up? We're asking the students stay for at least one semester. And there's a reason for that. Our high school is on a block schedule. So an entire course at the high school will be taught during a semester period of time. So our high school students who start in the Digital Academy will start and complete a course in the semester. So at the end of the semester, if they want to go back to Canfield High School, they will start fresh with a new schedule, having completed a semester's worth of work on the Digital Academy. For record-keeping purposes, we really do not want elementary and middle school students switching in and out. We had a lot of people ask, can we switch out at the 9-week period? For record keeping, really, it's going to be the best thing for our students to stay in that Digital Academy for the semester. At the semester, we'll be able to put kids back in the classroom if that's your choice. Also, we'll be able to re-enroll. If people want to leave the classroom, the in-person classroom, and come into the Digital Academy, that will be the ideal time for us to enroll people in the Digital Academy. So we are asking for people to stay in the academy for at least one semester. That gets us through about mid-January. And then starting after that, if you want to switch to the academy or you want to switch back to in-person classroom, we'll be able to do that. Other considerations. A lot of questions about how will things be graded. When work is submitted, teachers will grade work in a timely manner using board-approved grading scales. We will be using the standards-based report card at the elementary level, and at the middle school and high school, we'll be using the grade levels or the grade system with the breakdowns of I believe it's 90, 80, 70, 60 that they use at Canfield Middle School and at Canfield High School. For folks who don't have enough technology, and we do have folks that have technology, but we have folks who may have 2 or 3 students at home and need some assistance with technology, or maybe you don't have technology at all, we will, again, like we did for remote shutdown in March, be able to provide technology for those folks who need that. We will also be able to provide assistance, technical issues through our help desk. That will still be up like we had in the spring. So technology, we will be able to assist anyone who needs technology as far as needing a device or needing assistance if a device breaks or you're having trouble logging into our academy. We will have a help desk to help. In some cases, there will be some in-person attendance that we will have to do if we're part of the academy. At the beginning of the year, we're going to have some screening where kids are going to have to come in at the elementary level and be benchmarked in reading. That will probably have to be an in-person meeting. Again, we'll make sure that we do everything we can to keep our social distancing and make sure that everyone is equipped with the proper PPE, but you may have to come in for that. State assessments, the AIR assessments, end of course exams, the ACT, things along that line. We may have to have you come in to take those. Those are going to have to be secure, and we're going to have to monitor to make sure that the students are taking those under a secure situation. So those may be some days during the year that students will have to come into a building. And when those dates are approaching, we will give you all the information as far as the dates and the requirements and locations that go with that. Another location or another question that was asked was, how much does this cost? Well, there are no additional fees or additional costs to attend the Cardinal Digital Academy. This is part of Canfield Schools. So you attend Hilltop, C.H. Campbell, CVMS, and Canfield High School without additional cost. There is a student fee that will still be associated with the Cardinal Digital Academy, but there is no additional cost to be a part of the Cardinal Digital Academy. So the next step we have to take, and it's a very important step for us, is we have to know the number of students who are actually going to enroll in this digital academy. It's going to determine our next steps as far as staffing, and a lot of different things, how much PPE we need to buy for the in-person classrooms, and a lot of considerations are going to be determined by how many students enroll in our Cardinal Digital Academy. We will be having a meeting on August 11th at 6 p.m. in the Canfield High School auditorium. This meeting is to answer any additional questions or concerns that you have that we haven't answered tonight, or we won't answer through the questions that you asked tonight, or if you have questions later. That meeting will be to answer those questions. The enrollment forms for the Digital Academy, and it's about a page and a half, just asking for some general student information. Those will be online starting August 3rd. We're still kind of tweaking those a little bit, but those will be online August 3rd. If you want to download those, fill them out, send them back to us, then you would not have to attend that meeting on August 11th. But again, if you have additional questions or you need some assistance completing those forms, then we'll have that meeting on August 11th. Our deadline to enroll for the Cardinal Digital Academy will be Friday, August 14th. Again, that's a very late date. I mean, that gives us about 2 weeks after that to kind of straighten everything out, get kids enrolled in the Digital Academy, let our in-person buildings know which kids are not coming or which kids are coming to school. So that's our drop dead date for enrolling in the Cardinal Digital Academy. So that's basically the information that I wanted to cover tonight. And again, a lot of that came from questions that were submitted earlier. And hopefully we were able to answer the majority of questions that you have. But at this time, if we've received any questions, Mrs. English is going to ask me those, and I will do my best to answer them.
Mr. Maroney, we've received quite a few questions here. One of the popular questions we're being asked is there a trial period for the Digital Academy and in-person learning?
You know, everybody likes to try things before they buy them. But this, unfortunately, and I know this is a very tough decision for parents to have to make, whether I'm going to send my kid into the school or we're going to do the Digital Academy. We know that a lot of people are struggling with this decision. Unfortunately, again, there's not going to be a trial period option. We have to make some decisions for staffing, social distancing, PPE purchases, and things along that line. Some of this can only be done after we have a hard number of students who will be attending both in school and our Digital Academy. So we will unfortunately not be able to offer a trial period.
How will my high school student pick classes? Is their schedule the same as what they had picked out in the spring?
That's our goal. I had a conversation with Mr. Mullivan at the high school, and once we have high school students who enroll, we will pull their schedule and we will look at what they signed up for, and we will try to match those courses one-to-one. If we cannot do so, if there's a course that they are selected that we cannot offer, we will reach out to that student, give them some options, and let them pick what course they would like to substitute into their schedule. But we're going to try to meet their request from the spring one-to-one. Okay.
If there is a shutdown, will the Digital Academy be included in the virtual learning that will be taking place with the teachers, because you will have 2 versions of the curriculum being administered?
Good question. Thank you. Again, all teachers are, when we purchase this virtual classroom platform, it is available to all of our teachers across the district. So all of our teachers will be able to use this in their regular instruction in class. They'll also be able to use it if we have to go to a remote emergency shutdown. The Virtual Academy will continue to operate under the same format because that's what this is for. This is for students who are not coming to Canfield schools. They, for whatever reason they chose that they want to do remote learning or online learning at home, they'll still be using the Cardinal Digital Academy content and curriculum. So there'll really be no change for those students if we have to go into an emergency remote shutdown. But again, all of our teachers in the district will have access to this curriculum and be able to use it to supplement what they're doing both in person and in the case of an emergency remote shutdown.
Is the Digital Academy completely self-paced, or is there an option for students to follow their daily school schedule via online and follow their live in-person class routine?
again, it is designed to be self-paced, but nothing stops a parent from setting up a schedule for their kid and say, okay, we're going to work from 8 to 3 or whatever their school day would be. And we're going to do math from this time to this time, and then language arts from this time to this time, and follow that schedule. A lot of it is going to be self-paced. There will be times where the teacher will be online meeting with them through Google Meet. But again, it's going to be a mixture of self-paced, and if you want to put a scheduled day in place for your child, you can certainly do that.
Just to be clear, Mr. Maroney, that the traditional in-class classroom teacher, that has nothing to do with the learning that goes on in our digital academy. So those are basically two different silos. So we know that's been a big question, but they are two separate entities. I call them silos, just to make sure our parents understand that.
Thank you, Mr. Knoll.
Yep.
Appreciate that.
If I choose in-person classes for my student and they have to miss school due to health reasons, how will the loss of learning be covered by the school? What is the policy specifically for this?
Again, as Mr. Knoll just said, again, this is two different entities, two different silos. If a student in the in-person school has to miss school due to quarantine or any illness, it would be just like any other time during a regular school year where they are missing school. They will receive instruction materials from their classroom teacher, their in-person teacher. They will not come to the digital academy at that time, where students will not be bouncing in and out of the digital academy. It'll be up to that individual classroom teacher, or at the middle school and high school, groups of teachers, to make sure that student gets the work that they need, either through Google Classroom or whatever way that they're going to communicate with their students. But it will not, there are two separate entities that we will keep separate. So if a student at school gets sick, it'll be just like any other time before this pandemic that a student missed a long period of time of school.
Are there specific times for my student to log in?
You know, that's a nice thing about the Digital Academy. You can log in anytime. You can log in if your student wants to work in the morning, they can work in the morning. If you work as a parent and you want to be there to assist your child and you want to do it later in the evening, you can jump in and work on the Digital Academy in the evening. The little bit of the rub comes when our teachers will be available for access. They will be available during the normal school day to answer questions. So if you have a question during the evening, you may be able to email that teacher. They may be able to get back to you that evening, or we would hope that they would get back to you first thing the next morning. But you can log into that virtual academy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Are the teachers Canfield teachers specific to the virtual academy?
These will be Canfield teachers that will be teaching the academy, who will be monitoring and assigning the work. They will be Canfield teachers.
Can you explain what you mean by teacher guided?
Teacher guided is going to be the teacher will go into the virtual classroom. They will look at the curriculum that is available, and they will assign the lessons that they want the students to have. So they will assign the work. They have the ability to go in and modify that work, enrich it, enhance it. If there's something in the content that they don't want to teach, they can pull that out. But that they will go into the academy curriculum and assign that work or direct that work towards the students to be able to complete.
Will middle school gifted classes be available through the Digital Academy?
We are going to try to address all of the entire spectrum of special needs, from our special needs students all the way up through our gifted students. I did have a conversation with our gifted staff here at CVMS, and that is something we're going to look at very closely, how we can service our gifted students and provide for them the needs that are listed on their reps, and any other need that they may have as far as being gifted.
How will the online academy identify students that need more or less support in an area?
Well, again, I think it's going to be very similar to an in-person classroom. There will be communication between the teacher and the student, and the teacher and the parent. And if the student indicates or the parent indicates that a student is struggling in an area of curriculum, then we will try to provide them any assistance and intervention we can do. Also, I mean, again, we'll be monitoring their grade and the work that they're turning in. And if it's not the quality of work, or you can tell that a student is struggling to present a high quality of work, then we're going to reach out to that student and we're going to do our best to make sure that they get what they need to be successful.
If an outbreak occurs and the in-person school is closed, will those students then utilize the academy?
Again, all of our teachers in the district, whether they are teaching in the in-person silo or the Cardinal Digital Academy silo, have access to the virtual classroom platform. So if we close, the virtual academy will not have any problems. Digital Academy will not have any problems continuing on, because it's going to continue to do what it was doing prior to any shutdown. The students who are in-person school and have to switch to emergency remote learning will have to, the teachers will decide what they want to do, whether they're going to continue teaching through Google Classroom and Google Meet, or if they're going to utilize some of the virtual classroom materials. But again, those are two different entities that will continue to operate independently of each other if we have an emergency shutdown.
Will we be able to see a live working demonstration of the Academy on August 11th?
We can arrange to have that. Sure, we will be able to show that platform and let people look at what they will look at. If you want to, we have the ability to pull over 200 courses from this virtual classroom. So if you have a specific curriculum that you want to see, we'll be able to show you some of that. Again, depending on the number of people who want to look at it, but we will have some demo lessons that we'll have available for people to look at. Absolutely.
If I choose to send my child to the Academy, is there an opportunity for those students to interact socially?
Again, part of the reason that we're thinking that people are going to choose the Digital Academy is because of the pandemic, and because either the child or themselves or a family member has health risk that put them in some kind of health risk. That's a double word there, but they're at risk and they want to keep their child away from the general population of people. So at this point, I don't see any social events, but obviously as we get into this and we see what is possible, we can definitely look into the possibility of having those types of situations.
If my child is on a 504 plan or has additional help during the school year, are there plans or a way to make sure they are offered any form of additional assistance or help with the online academy?
Yes, on the enrollment form, we asked that question. Does your child have a 504 plan? Do they have an IEP? Do they receive gifted services? Again, we will offer support for all of those. If they're on a 504, we have to follow the 504 and provide that support. If they're on an IEP, they will be working with an intervention specialist to work on their IEP goals. If they're gifted, we'll be working on their gifted goals. So just like the in-person buildings of CH and Hilltop and the middle school and the high school that deal with students that have special needs or gifted or whatever, we will still make those accommodations to make sure those students get what they need.
Mr. Maroney, you touched upon this, but we're being asked by quite a few parents if students can still participate in extracurriculars like band if they're in the academy.
Absolutely, and we're excited about that. We want our students, if they want to participate in an extracurricular or co-curricular activity, they are Canfield students, and we want to give them the opportunity to do so. Again, with band, with choir, with extracurricular activities, you will have to come into school or go to practices after school. And again, you'll have to make sure that you meet the requirements of coming to school with temperature and all the things that Mr. Knoll, again, will talk about on August 6th, the requirements for coming into the building. But again, if you are a Canfield student, it doesn't matter if you're enrolled in Canfield Middle School or Canfield High School or the Digital Academy, you are eligible to participate in extracurricular activities that you qualify for and that you're eligible for. And you're able to participate in co-curricular activities like band, choir, and any clubs that we have.
How will we be able to know what courses students would be able to take, such as advanced math in 7th grade or honors English in 9th grade?
And again, we're going to look at what their schedule was set up for by the high school guidance department in the spring. And if those classes are on their schedule and we have the ability to offer those through our virtual academy, we will do that. If we can't, then we're going to give them the closest alternative we can, or give them a menu of items that they can select from to pick those courses that are going to best serve them. Again, talking to Mr. Moldovan, we want to make sure that our students are getting the credits they need. So they are making their way through Canfield High School to have the credits they need for graduation, the points they need for graduation, that they're not qualified, they're ready to take the end of course exams, they're ready to take the ACT. So we're going to make sure that they have the class load that they need. And again, we'll be working with the high school and the high school guidance department to make sure that they have those classes.
Mr. Maroney, is there a way that we could post the courses on our website maybe for parents to take a look at? Because I understand that if I'm, talking advanced math in a middle school or in advanced chemistry or something like that, is there a way that we could post that out there so parents could see what some of those courses look like?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I will post those tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I'd like to recommend we do that because those are good questions. I mean, I think some of the general sciences and maths and those things are going to be out there, but if I'm a parent, that I have a advanced math 8th grader, for example, and that's important to me, I think it's good for us to put that out there. So I appreciate that.
We will definitely put the courses out there tomorrow for you to take a look at.
Very good. Thank you.
Very good. Miss English.
Will our students have the same teacher they would have in the building? Is K2 assigned a specific teacher? And do we know who the teachers are?
Great question. Great question, because we're still trying to work through some of that also. Before we can really name our staff, we have to find out how many students and how much interest there is in this. Once we know that we need X amount of teachers, we will be working with our staff to find out what teachers are interested, and then we will begin assigning those teachers to the different buildings, different grade levels. Again, you will not be assigned to a specific in-building teacher. So if you go to Hilltop and you're assigned one of the 2nd grade teachers, you may not have that person. You're definitely not going to have that person at the Digital Academy. If you switch back to the in-person school in January at the semester break, then the building principal would assign you to a classroom at that point. But if you're in the Cardinal Digital Academy, first of all, we don't have teachers named and assigned yet. But once we know how many students are going to be assigned to or coming to that academy, then we will begin that process, and we will let you know who your assigned teacher is, just like all the other buildings do when they send out a letter saying, here's your teacher for the 2021 school year.
Do you have an anticipated student-teacher ratio for classes in the Digital Academy?
Again, we had about 330 people pre-register. And again, we're just assuming that a lot of that was just so I could get information. We don't know if all 330 or if there are more people who are going to register to come to the Cardinal Digital Academy. Until we have those numbers finalized, I won't be able to tell you what the ratios are, teacher-student, until we know how many students we have.
One thing that we can't say is the priority for a smaller teacher to student ratio is going to be with our youngest learners. I think Mr. Maroney spoke to that numerous times tonight. I think our middle school, high school kids, they're going to be able to work a little bit more on their own with the self-pacing, but our younger learners, I could see those ratios being smaller, obviously, than as they get up through their education.
Okay.
What do you mean by silo? Can you go over this again?
Okay, we have basically in the fall, we're going to have two different modes of operation. We're going to have in-person classes, which means that you will attend one of our four buildings. At the elementary level, C.H. Campbell or Hilltop Elementary School, Canfield Village Middle School for grades 5 through 8, and Canfield High School for grades 9 through 12. That is one option that you will send your kid, your child, your student to the in-building learning. You'll send them to one of our four buildings. If for some reason you do not feel comfortable sending your student to an in-person environment, sending them to one of those buildings, the second option is to come into our Cardinal Digital Academy. So again, you have in-learning, which is Silo 1 or Entity 1, and in Silo 2 is our Digital Academy. They do not cross, they are separate. So you're going to be either an in-person student or an academy student. I'm hoping that we're explaining that in a way that is understandable. Again, it's either you're coming to a building or you're going to an online platform.
What is the start time? And if this is self-paced to an extent, how do students have access to the teachers?
Again, we're going to make sure that our teachers have Google Classroom. Remind is another a platform to communicate with our teachers. Google Meet is another way that they'll be able to reach out to our students. So if a student is having difficulty with a topic or a subject or an assignment, they can reach out to that teacher through email, and that teacher will be able to communicate with them through either Google Meet or a discussion on Google Classroom, through email, or through Remind. So again, we're going to give multiple ways for our students to communicate. There will also be times where the teacher will hold a Google Meet session, especially at our younger levels, where they'll be face-to-face with those students in their classroom, and students will be required to come to those meetings.
Will all students be provided with technology? And if so, what is the nature of the technology?
Again, in looking at the survey, a large majority of our parents have technology and devices available. However, if you need a device, like we did in the spring, we are able to give Google Chromebooks, and we'll be able to utilize that. We were also able in the spring to give out some hotspots to folks who maybe needed those. Again, with the Digital Academy, we will begin offering access to Chromebooks and, if needed, hotspots for our students.
Will the virtual academy follow the same calendar as students choosing in-person instruction?
That's yes. We will, again, if school is closed for spring break or Christmas break or whatever break that we have, then the Cardinal Academy will also be closed. If we are closed for a snow day, then the Cardinal Academy will be closed. So any day that Canfield schools are in session, the Digital Academy will be in session. Any day that Canfield local schools is not in session, the Cardinal Digital Academy will also not be in session. Although the nice thing about being self-paced and digital, if students want to work ahead on those days, they certainly are able to do so.
There you go.
Mr. Maroney, you've gone over this, but I'm getting a few questions. Will
Okay.
students be able to switch to traditional schooling and vice versa at any time?
Again, we're asking anybody who joins the Cardinal Digital Academy or chooses the in-person option to make an 18-week, one semester commitment. Again, that's important for our high school classes, which are on a block schedule. They have students who take a semester, they'll finish the entire course, and that semester cutoff is a good natural transition back to in-person if that's what you want to do. Or if you're doing in-person and you want to switch to the Digital Academy, the semester is the natural break to do so. Again, elementary level and middle school level, I know they are on a 9-week grading period, but again, we're asking for an 18-week commitment as we get this started and get it off the ground.
Mr. Maroney, you said every attempt will be made to try to align with in-person instruction. So will the academy not be aligned? If so, why would it not be able to be aligned? Can you explain this just a little further?
Sure. Our Canfield teachers are teaching a curriculum, and a lot of times they have tweaked that and developed it. They're still teaching state standards, but maybe they teach it a different way. So the virtual classroom curriculum is set. It's got a list of an order and a list of lessons that it goes in. So day one on the academy and day one in a teacher in-person class may not look exactly the same. We're going to try to, if we can, to make sure our digital academy teachers are communicating with the in-person teachers to try to stay within a same type of time frame. I taught social studies. So the example is if we're talking about the American Revolution in American history class in person, we'd like to try to be in that same genre or era of time in a history class in the digital academy. They may not look exactly the same, but we're going to try to keep as much of alignment as we can. May not be able to do it in every situation, but we're going to at least have that communication between our digital academy staff and our in-person staff to try to make sure that they're working the best they can, because we know we're going to have students who transition from the in-person to digital and digital to in-person. So we're going to try to align that the best we can.
How will advanced placement classes be structured in the academy?
Again, like I stated earlier, there is a limited number of advanced placement and CPP classes. So the ones that are there will be taught the same way as our other digital academy classes. If they're not available, then we'll have to have some conversations about what the alternatives for your student is. But again, that is one area that the digital academy does not have a lot of availability of our AP and CPP classes. And again, if you have a large number of AP and CPP classes, your better option may be the in-person silo.
Is this considered a charter school, or are these children of Canfield schools?
This is definitely not a charter school. This is Canfield Schools. This is a 5th Canfield school building, although a virtual building. It's not brick and mortar like CH, Hilltop, CVMS, and CHS. This is a virtual school, but it is a Canfield school, and students that attend the Digital Academy are Canfield students. They would receive a Canfield diploma. If they went from K-12, they get a Canfield diploma and would be eligible to graduate with their classmates. They can participate in all Canfield extracurricular and co-curricular activities. So this is not a charter school like you see advertised on TV. This is a Canfield school, just a different avenue for our students to receive education.
Mr. Maroney and I talked a lot about this. I mean, every cardinal counts. And if you're not with us now and you're in some other platform, we want you back. And obviously, if you're here and don't feel comfortable about the in-person, this is the option we want you to take as well. But every cardinal counts, and that's why we're talking this platform.
Absolutely. We want you back, and we want you to be a cardinal.
Will the grades be in progress book?
They will. The nice thing about the virtual classroom is when a student completes an assignment, it can be graded by the teacher, and then it automatically goes into the student's progress book account, and they can follow their grades as they complete assignments and as the teacher grades them and puts them in the progress book. Again, this is part of the progress book suite that, again, will be available for all of our staff.
If my child in the academy is sick, will they be able to be absent from classes until they are well again?
Again, yes, this is self-paced. So if a student isn't feeling well and they don't want to do, they're unable to complete work on a day or two, they have a deadline that the teacher will assign. If they're unable to reach that deadline due to illness, reach out, touch base with that teacher, reach out to me, let us know what's going on, and we can make any kind of modifications that we need to make so a student can get the work done when they are feeling up to getting that work done. Just like, again, in-person school, if they miss a couple of days of school, the teachers will make extensions of time and accommodations for that student to make up work. We're going to do the same things for our students if they are sick or have to miss school.
If my son were to attend the digital classroom, how will his IEP be executed?
Again, we will have intervention specialists that will continue to provide the services that are specified on the IEP. and work with the Digital Academy teachers to modify curriculum as, again, whatever the IEP states that a child is eligible for, we will meet, and what their goals are, we will work to meet those.
Will the kids have the same teacher every day, or will it be a collection of different teachers in the academy?
Again, our goal is to assign a teacher to a group of students that they will have consistently throughout the program. So if you're a second grade student or a third grade student and you have a teacher assigned to you, that will be your teacher for the time that you're in the Digital Academy. Same thing at the high school. We're going to try to keep kids with the same teachers. Obviously, middle school, high school may be a little different. They may have different teachers for different subject areas, but it'll be the same core group of teachers that they have throughout the semester.
Are Academy students able to work ahead instead of waiting for everyone else to complete things?
The way that we have, the conversation we've had is that the teachers will put up assignments for that time period, that week, and then the students will work and complete those assignments that week. And then the next week, the next assignments will be given to the students. We're not going to unleash the entire course at one time for students to work through and complete 18 weeks of work in a week and a half, and then have the rest of the time not to do things. So we will pace out how much work is given, meet out how much work is given at a time, and students will be able, again, if they want to complete everything on day one, they're welcome to do so, but they won't be able to work into 2 weeks, 2, 3, 4, etc.
If a student signs up for the virtual academy and decides to switch after the semester, will the school be able to accommodate them? Meaning, will they have space?
The way we looked at this and the conversations Mr. Noel and I have had, it's like a student moving into the district in the middle of the year. If someone moves to Canfield and they show up at our school, we will put them in a classroom. We will find the classroom that has the most availability, and the classes at the middle school and high school that have the most availability of space, and we will put those kids into that classroom. So it's just like any situation with a new student moving into the district. If a student wants to leave the Cardinal Digital Academy and go back to the in-person school, we will find a way to do that.
What type of communication will be utilized for support that students may need from teachers? Will they be using Remind? Will they be using Google Classroom?
Again, very good question. Thank you. We will be using Google Meet, Google Classroom, and Remind. One of the concerns that we heard from our community is that there were too many platforms that teachers were communicating with during the spring. So we have made the commitment to Google Classroom and the Google Suite. So Google Meet will be our meeting tool instead of Zoom or WebEx. And we are also going to use Remind as a third communication tool. So it will be those three things as our way to communicate teacher to student, teacher to parent.
What platform are you using for the virtual academy?
The platform that we're using is called Virtual Classroom. It is a platform that we have researched and gives us the greatest advantage for not only our digital academy, but for our teachers, because it'll be, again, be available to our in-person teachers that they can use to supplement their instruction. As Mr. Noel says, it's another tool in their tool belt. So our in-person teachers will be able to use that when we're in school, and if we had to we were closed for emergency remote learning, then our in-class teachers could very easily convert over to that virtual classroom platform and use that to provide instruction during any emergency shutdown.
What does this look like on a college transcript? Is it viewed the same as traditional school?
Again, your transcript will show that you got a grade from Canfield Local Schools. I don't believe that we're going to, if you're a Canfield High School student attending the Digital Academy, your grade will come from Canfield High School. Your report card will be a Canfield High School, Canfield Middle School, or C.H. Campbell or Hilltop report card. So your transcript will be grades from Canfield Local Schools.
Will teachers hold classes online, meaning are these actually going to be live classes by Canfield teachers in the academy?
As we stated earlier, this is not going to be live streaming of classes from in-building sessions. Our teachers at Hilltop, C.H. Campbell, the middle school and the high school will not be streaming classes. These are two different silos. The in-person classroom will be taught by our teachers in person in the classroom. Our digital academy will be through this virtual classroom platform, also using Google Classroom, Google Meet, and Remind as a way to communicate. So again, there are two different things. We will not be live streaming. And again, like I said, we're going to do our best, but it may not replace the benefits of in-person instruction coming to the Digital Academy. We're going to work real hard to give our students the best possible experience, and we're going to constantly work to improve. But again, nothing is going to replace that in-person relationship with a classroom teacher.
If the governor decides students are not going back to school, what will happen to students already registered and enrolled in the online academy?
Again, if we have to shut down schools and school has already started, those students in the Digital Academy will remain in the Digital Academy until the semester. At the semester, between the beginning of an emergency shutdown and that change, I'm sure that as a district, we will have lots of conversations on how we are going to proceed. Again, that's a big if there's an emergency shutdown. Right now, we're looking at reopening and how we can get our students either back into buildings or how we can provide them an alternative through our Cardinal Digital Academy.
Are there parent-teacher conferences at the Cardinal Digital Academy?
Yes, outstanding question. Yes, there will be. Again, it'll be the same conference schedule that we have for both CVMS and the high school. I believe those first conferences are in October. I don't have the dates in front of me, and I apologize. And then the elementaries are on a Thursday and Monday in November. So again, we will have those scheduled. We will probably use the same system that we used at the elementary level with the My Conference time to sign up. And then you will probably end up doing a Google Meet conference with your Digital Academy teacher.
If I have,
Any question? Thank you.
sorry.
No, sir.
If I have two students in the same grade, can they have the same teacher in the Digital Academy?
Again, if we have multiple teachers at a grade level, then we have students from the same family, we will have them in the same classroom. Conversely, if we have two students who are from the same family in the same grade level and they want them separated and we have the ability to do that, we will also accommodate that. Again, it's all going to depend on enrollment, the number of students that we have, and the staff needs that will be generated from that enrollment.
Mr. Maroney, I think this is going to be your last one.
Okay.
Do you plan for the Digital Academy to be a permanent long-term entity, or is it only established as a temporary entity due to the pandemic for a year or two?
Again, we are looking at this as a long-term commitment. We have students who not only, at a time of pandemic, who don't want to come to school for health reasons or health concerns. We have a lot of students in our district who struggle with in-person schooling for a variety of reasons: anxiety, bullying. Again, the list goes on and on about reasons why some kids do not like coming to in-person school. So we have made the commitment to the Digital Academy to be a long-term addition to the Canfield Schools program.
That is a great way to end the evening. And Mr. Maroney's 100% accurate. I am extremely passionate about this whole concept. My initial thoughts were exactly like Mr. Maroney said. There are a group of kids that have a hard time making it through a traditional school day. And that's why I started a program at my former place of employment. This year, it takes on another aspect as well. For those of you as parents, that no matter what plan I put out there and coming back day one, you just don't feel comfortable. And we totally understand that and respect it. And this option is there for you. But I hope this program is around for a long time, because I think it's going to meet some significant needs for all of our learners in Canfield. So I tell you what, Canfield, those are some awesome questions.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I mean, we really appreciate you being with us tonight and being connected and asking those questions. I mean, we want to get out the information as best we can. Thank you, Renee and George, people behind the scenes to help make the evening go. We really appreciate that as well. And Mr. Marone, I need to thank you. I gave you a couple months to put this together, and you have done an amazing job getting us to where we're at today. I know it's a huge responsibility, but very well done, sir. Really appreciate all your efforts, and we're looking forward to getting this program up and running soon. So
this is a great community. I'm glad that we're able to offer this. It'll give some people some peace of mind. Right. And right now, that's something a lot of people are looking for. So we were happy to be able to answer your questions and give you some information tonight. If you have further questions, please reach out to me at the middle school. Call the middle school office, and they can get your call to me, or email me, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. But again, thank you for the great questions tonight.